Welcome, welcome, welcome to everything, Aja. I am so excited that you are here on today. We are in the midst of such an exciting week here, as I have been literally slaving over these last few weeks and just kind of contemplating, okay, what do you guys need and how can I best help you? So today we are going to dive into the great wonder of teaching the alphabet as we unwrap the truth about teaching letter sounds and why teaching the alphabet just isn't enough. And so if you're like, wait a minute, hold on, go ahead and just say hello down below in the chat box. And this is a open forum space. And so if you have any questions along the way, I just always want to open up by saying, feel free to drop your questions down below. But right now, let us know where you are tuning in from as we get started. On yesterday, we began to talk about 5 signs that you shouldn't ignore to see if you have a child who is ready to begin to read. And so we established that the pre-reading phase is kind of like checking the soil on the ground to see, hey, is this good for me to begin to build upon? And so now today we're going to be talking about that foundational piece. One of the first things that we end up teaching children right before we teach them how to read is you begin to teach them this thing called the alphabet. So before we get into the alphabet too deep, let me just go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Aja McNair. I am an educational consultant. I have been a kindergarten through 5th grade curriculum specialist, meaning that I've been an administrator over all things teaching and learning. So you name it, I've been over it and I'm an expert in it. Okay. I have over 15 years in dealing with Title I schools, dealing with children that have been on free and reduced lunch. And that also means that I have experience dealing with struggling readers. I have my reading endorsement, and I'm also certified in correcting and diagnosing mathematicals and reading behaviors, in addition to Orton Gillingham certified. But that's just a little bit about me. I am on a mission to help women inspire and motivate children to master essential skills that they need for success in literacy. So I am here to help you raise confident readers. Because my mission is twofolded, I help both the woman, right, the adult, but in helping the adult, that also helps the kids. So for the adult, I offer one-on-one and group coaching services that help them go from being overwhelmed, unsure, not knowing how to teach reading, having a frustration when it comes to the lack of progress that they're seeing within their children, into feeling confident, feeling equipped, and feeling supported with clear strategies. Through offering those one-on-one and group coaching services to the adult, that makes the kid also go through a transformation of going from feeling unmotivated, struggling, and falling behind in literacy. I can make this go up just a little bit bigger. There we go. Into feeling motivated, engaged, and mastering essential literacy skills. So note that you are in the right place. If you are ready to be transformed, just type the word transformed in the chat box. All right, so I have a few questions, but I want you to begin to reflect on. The first question is, have you ever heard start with the ABCs? Like when you're first trying to teach your child how to read, you hear, hey, start with the alphabet, start with the ABCs. This is a very common thing that is often heard about within the educational world, So have you ever heard of start with the ABCs? Have you ever heard, hey, sing the alphabet song? That as you're teaching the alphabet, as you're teaching this foundational skill, right? Teach the alphabet song. Have you, and this says every, I'm sorry, it's supposed to be, have you ever, there we go, have you ever heard, make sure that they know all of their letters. Make sure that they know their letters. Make sure that they know their letters. Well, I'm going to say this, right? So in starting with the ABC, singing the alphabet song, making sure they know their letters, understanding that you are here today because knowing the alphabet does not mean your child is actually ready to read. Contrary to popular belief, just because a child can tell you A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z, that does not mean that they're ready to read. That means they know the alphabet song. That means they know the sequence of letters of the alphabet. That's what they know. So, knowing just the alphabet does not signify to the brain that you're ready to actually begin to formulate words. Okay. So, that's what we're beginning to dive into in this particular training. So, this is a letter. Okay. Let's say you have a child who can recognize this letter, meaning that when they see this letter, they know that the letter is B. Okay. They can look at this, they say B. However, because you've only taught them that this letter is B, when they see the letter B in context, right? Whether it's in words, it's in a book, it's in a text, right? When it's in the form of a word, and they only know that the letter name is B, they do not have the correct skills to be able to read this word. They have no idea how to read this word. All they know is this is the letter B. So what ends up happening is they will struggle with this. However, let's be real, most of us, when we're dealing with these kind of early literacy skills, we don't show the word bat like this. We show the word bat like this. So we think that the child is mastering these early literacy skills because one, they can say that the letter is B, and two, when I show them the word with the picture, they say the word bat. But here's the issue. When you're teaching like this, the child, you don't know, right? If the child knows that the picture is bat or if they were able to read that word bat. But we never stop right here. We don't stop to think, hey, what is it that they actually know? Do they know that the word spells bat, or do they just understand that this is a picture of a baseball bat? You don't know. And so what you end up doing is you give them another word, cat. But you pair that word with a picture of a cat. And then when they say cat, you get super excited. Yay, you did it. And now you think that you have a child that can read. You are super excited. So then you give them another word, dog. So you switched up the vowels because from cat to bat, you're like, they both have the same word family. So maybe it's this word family. But then you switch it up. Okay, whole different vowel, whole different word family, and the child says dog. All right, then they really understood. Or did they just know how to look at the picture? See, when teaching the alphabets, we have to be very, very, very intentional, as in what is it that a child's actually mastering? So then what ends up happening is, like you said, yes, this is clarity. Amen. What ends up happening is by the time we get to the end of a unit or the end of your year, right? You end up testing a child, whether you're not giving a formal test, you could be reading, right? And getting the child to read. That's like kind of like an observational test or a formative test, whichever the way, right? They can see the words without pictures. And what ends up happening is, let's say they're reading a book and they come across these words, but now they stop if there's no picture of that. And now that same word that you've been doing in flashcards that you have been teaching left and right, they have had it, they've mastered that word, but now they can't read the word. And so now you're like, wait, what? You knew this. And so this is the part that a lot of us get so caught up in. When we give them the words in a test form, right? They don't know it. Or they look like a deer with like the headlights. Like, wait, what happened? And so now you have a child that's dealing with frustration. Because they're dealing with frustration, they start this thing called guessing. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Because they don't understand and they're confused, they start memorizing, right? And so what they're doing is they're memorizing the form of that word. Let me show you an example. What they're doing is they're memorizing the form of the bat. Like they're seeing the form of the B, the A, the T, especially if you're showing them the same exact font every time they see the word bat, and every time they see the word cat, and every time they see the word dog, they'll begin to think that this is that word, but they're really in actuality, they're memorizing what the word looks like. So this is why I always suggest that you show things in multiple fonts just to actually know that they have it. And then you also run into this inconsistency. Inconsistency. That one day they can look at the word bat and they can tell you that that word is bat. The next day, they can look at that same word bat and say, I don't know. The next day, they could look at that word bat and say, dog, cat. No, rat. And now they're just guessing all the at words. Like, and this is why you are left feeling absolutely frustrated. You're angry. You start, raising your voice. Some of us, right? We shut down. Let's be real. We begin to feel overwhelmed. For others, I see so many people that try to go above and beyond. And you're like, what is happening? Right? Like you had it that one day, but what we don't realize is they had it when you showed them the picture, or they had it when there were these other cues involved. And so we have to be very, very intentional into understanding, okay, what is it that they're actually mastering? Because teaching a child the alphabet by itself is not enough. Okay. So even if they knew the letter B, that does not mean that they can sound out the word bat. Sounding out and knowing the letter is not the same thing. And so often there's so many curriculums out there that teach the letter names, right? And when you teach all of the letter names first, and you go back and teach all the letter sounds, somewhere along the line, that baby is confused. And then you expect them to then go apply their knowledge. Well, here's the thing. Knowing a letter name is not going to teach me how to read the word bat. Knowing that this letter is B, but not knowing that the sound is B, I'm not going to make that correlation that this is the word bat. And so now when you begin to teach with this disconjointed sequence of skills, you leave frustrated and you think it's the child's fault, but in actuality, it is what you're actually teaching that's at fault. So now you're overwhelmed. And this is the part that I get a lot of my clients. I get them at that overwhelmed phase where you're like, something's got to give. Right? Something has to give. I am overwhelmed. I have no answers and I'm super duper confused. So how do we clear this part up, right? Well, we have to understand what real reading is actually is. And real reading means that you can decode a sound. What does decoding mean? Just break it down, right? Blending those sounds together. So decoding would look something like this. Let me go back to that first slide. Decoding would look like if I gave this word to a child, they sit there and they're correlating. Okay, the first letter that I see is the letter B. I know that B makes the sound B. So this word starts with the sound B. Okay, and so now they have the initial or beginning sound B. Then they kind of go to the next letter. That's A, A, A. Put the B and the A together. B, A, B, A, ba. Okay. Then the last letter is the letter T. I have to know that the letter T makes the t sound. And now I have to blend those sounds together. B, A, t, bat. Now I can decode or put the sounds together of this word. Then you can do something where they can double check and boom, were you right? Yes, bat. This is when it's a good time to show the pictures. Now, do I suggest you never show the pictures? Absolutely not. In fact, I actually suggest that as you start teaching reading, to teach with the pictures, but to also do it without the pictures, right? They need both opportunities. This way you will actually know, all right, have they memorized the flashcard, or they memorized the game? Did they memorize this word? Like, you have to give them multiple experiences and expose them to different fonts and expose them to the same word in different ways to actually know, hey, have they actually mastered this particular skill? All right, so I'm gonna have a truth moment. Truth moment is this: many kids know their letters. That is often the first thing they do when they are like in daycare at the age of 2. Okay. Most kids know their letters, but they cannot read a single word. That's the truth of the matter. Most kids in the preschool age, they know their letters. They can tell you A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They can rattle off that song, but they cannot read. So there's a disconnect. Why? Because in order to read, remember, you need to know the sounds. So the reason why these children can know their letters, that means they know the letter names. That means they can look at the letter and know the name of the letter, but they haven't mastered the sound that the letters make. So they don't know what the letters say, right? They don't know the actual sounds of the letters. So because they know the names of the letters, but they don't know the sounds of the letters, there's a disconnect. And then if you don't understand the difference between the two, then when you give them a test that incorporates these kind of words, this is why you're left frustrated, right? Because they're not the same thing. The name of a letter helps with identifying the letter. The only reason we really need to know the name of the letter is so that our brains remember the sound that the letter makes. So it always goes back to the sound. So teaching the alphabet is never just enough. So okay, let me go over a few mistakes that a lot of us make that keep us stuck in this same cycle that I'm talking about today. First one is teaching all 26 letter names before you teach the letter sounds. Now, here's a truth bomb. Kids can learn the sounds before they even know the letters. You can actually teach the sounds letters make before they ever are even ready to look at a letter and tell you the name of the letter, right? Like, even with my daughter, I taught her, but it's called phonemic awareness, but I taught her how to hear sounds before she ever saw letters. So you could start doing this at the age of 2. Okay. So when you only teach the name of a letter before the sound of a letter, you're theoretically setting a child up like for failure. You're setting them literally behind the curve automatically. Okay. And so that's mistake number 1. You teach all of the names before you teach the sound. So now they have to go back and they have to unlearn everything that they learned. And y'all remember the saying? I know me for me, what you learn first, you learn best. Y'all remember that? What you learn first, you learn best. Don't teach me something, tell me something one day, and then go back and try to clear it up. It is twice as hard for my brain to go back and remember something that I've already learned. So it's called like unlearning, right? Second mistake you see so many parents and teachers making: expecting children to read by recognizing the shape of a word. Same thing I already showed you. The word bat, they see it all the time. So now they're actually memorizing the shape of the word bat because they're seeing it every single day. The next mistake is using flashcards and asking only the letter names, or using or words without phonics, right? Connecting the actual image, like the letters that they're seeing, with the name of whatever they're hearing. Okay. So let's talk about how to clear these up. Okay, can we can we skip to the good part? All right. So 1, teach sounds with letters. Okay. So when you're teaching, you have to teach these things together. This way that you don't have to waste so much time having the children unlearn what you've already set as your foundation. They don't have to go back in their brains and relearn things. Okay. So you want to teach sounds along with letters. You also want to use things like visuals and movements. Remember, at this age, they also have a very short attention span. So you want to do things that will kind of like solidify the learning. And so you want to use visuals, you want to do movement, you want to do these things so that they can remember, hey, the letter B says ball, the letter B says ball. And so then they have that movement with what they heard. And so now when they see the letter B, they'll go, the letter B says ball, 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 like, and they can immediately have that corresponding thought right there in their mind. The next thing you want to do is practice matching sounds with real objects or words. So you want to make this come to life for them. You want to bring it together, right? You don't want this to be a disconjointed thing. If they don't think, y'all know we're the same way. If they don't think they're going to need to know this in life, why are they learning it? I never forget being in high school, because there's nothing worse than being like a room full of high schoolers. But I never forget being in high school and literally every time my teacher would get up there to teach something, somebody would raise their hands and say, when do we need to know this? Like, when is this going to apply in my life? And I never forget, yeah, I remember learning proofs. I remember learning proofs in math. It was like the long, drawn out process. And she was like, you're going to need it. No, she was really kind of like, we all knew we were never going to use that in our entire lives. But like, there was just stuff you had to learn just to pass high school, just to pass the test. And because there was no real world application, you only memorized it to take the test to forget that information. The exact same thing is true even with your 4-year-old and learning the alphabets. If they don't know that this information is going to be applicable to them in their everyday lives, they're not going to care. And they're going to learn it only for the temporary season they're in. So if you can teach them, hey, look, this print rich environment, you're seeing these letters when you're driving. Look, there's the letter S. Stop. So that's, I can hear the sound at the beginning of the word stop. And they're able to pick up on the print around them. They'll realize, hey, letters are all around me. I have to learn this thing. All right. Next tip. Teach beginning sounds through games and songs. This is how I get kids to master things, right? So as you heard me at the beginning, I said, look, I teach women how to motivate kids to master essential skills. And I have a very unique framework that does so by the way of games and songs and so forth. And so these kind of activities allow kids not just to learn these skills, but to master these skills. So you might be wondering, okay, well, what is next, Aja? What is the next step? The next step was to be to find a system for teaching letter names and letter sounds. You understand that, hey, guess what? I not only need to emphasize the name of a letter, but I need to emphasize the sound that a letter makes. And so you need a system to do this, a system that doesn't leave you overwhelmed, doesn't make you continue to overthink this, and doesn't allow you to keep second guessing yourself. So you want to build a confident reader, you have to teach reading using a system that teaches the letter sounds with the letter names, uses visuals and movements, practices matching sounds to real objects or words, and plays with beginning sounds through games and songs. And let me give you another tip. You also want to find a system that focuses on 1 to 2 letters at a time, making it fun, interactive, and set up for mastery. And mastery just simply means that a child has not only learned that skill, but that they won't forget that skill. Okay. That they won't take a test and then completely forget that this is the letter S. So you need to find a system. I want to help you with that. So I want to invite you to my up and coming free workshop, The 3 Secrets of Teaching Reading with Ease. In this workshop, I'm going to break down my proven 3-part framework and how it can help you and your child master letter names, letter sounds, and so much more. In this workshop, I'm going to give you the top mistakes that keep children stagnant and what to do instead, a proven system that helps children master essential literacy skills like teaching the alphabet, and also how to fast track your reading growth without stress and without burnout. Now, I'm doing this workshop live 3 times this week. This Thursday, you can catch me live at 12 o'clock noon and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Down below in the description and also in the chat box, you will see exactly how you can sign up for this amazing free workshop. I cannot wait to go even deeper with you. If you live in the Atlanta area, I will also be doing a very interactive version of this workshop Saturday, June 14th from 11 to 1 at the Wolf Creek Library. So make sure you guys are there. Make sure you are signed up. Make sure that there is a space signed with your name on it. And then also tomorrow, we dived into guessing just a little bit in today's messaging, and we want to go even further. Okay. And we'll be breaking down tomorrow why guessing words doesn't mean that your child can actually read. So I want to join you. I want to invite you to join me again, same time, same place, live tomorrow, June 11th, as we talk about the power of children guessing words and what to do about that. And then make sure that you come to the real meat, the real rolling up your sleeves. There will be a gift for everybody that attends the workshop live, whether you're in the virtual calls, the virtual sessions or the in-person sessions. So make sure that you are there in the building. Look, I see Miss Mimi. She said, look, this Saturday, 11 to 1. Yes, Wolf Creek Library. So look, put it in your calendar right now. Go ahead and put it into your calendar. Sign up for the workshop. The workshop will not be on YouTube. It will only be on Zoom. So it is a very inclusive workshop that you won't find here on my YouTube channel. So you have to sign up for the workshop. Once again, 30 Secrets to Teaching Reading with Ease is right here on the screen. It is also down below in the chat box as well as in the description. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time. See you soon.